I've been trying to call. I've been on my own for long enough. Maybe you can show me how to love. Maybe I'm going through withdrawals. You don't even have to do too much. You can turn me on with just a touch, baby. I look around and since it is cold and empty, no one's around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep right until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust. I'm running out of time, 'cause I can see the sun light up the sky. So I hit the road in overdrive, baby. Hit the road in overdrive. This city's cold and empty. No one's around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust. I'm coming back to let you know I can never say it on the phone. But whenever let me go this time, I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. Feel free to be whoever you wanna be. Feel free to dance, feel free to sing, just feel free. Feels like the world is picking on ya. Oh. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to the Two Tone Talk Podcast, episode 68. I am your host. Misery loves its company. And that's why we're gathered here today. because the Titans put on they you know what, it's appropriate. They send out 2023 with a performance that was truly worthy. Truly worthy to be considered among the very most appropriate Titans performances that we have seen this year. Just can't score points. Can't protect anybody. Maybe the worst. I mean, honestly,
is there a worse offensive line? I don't know. The Titans lose to the Houston Texans again. They fall to 0-5 in their division. The 8th time this season that the Titans have managed to score one touchdown or less in a game. They've played 16 games. That's half the games. In half of the games they've played, they have managed to score one touchdown or less. Guys, that's pathetic. Pathetic. And you know what? Like, I as I said last week after the Seattle game, it's not the losing that bothers me at this point, because I understand. I say it time and time again, we need to lose for the draft position. Like, I get all of that. So losing, I mean, I expected to lose. I expected Houston to have more points than Tennessee at the end of the game, you know. But it's just, here's what we have to understand. They're not trying to lose. They're not trying to tank. They're trying to win. And that's even worse. Because that's the performance we put on when we're actually trying to win? Now listen. I once again don't know where to start, but I'm going to start with the offensive line. The only intriguing thing coming into this game yesterday for me personally was Will Levis. That was the only thing I was looking forward to, was watching Will Levis and seeing how he would perform, you know, against a team who's trying to make the playoffs, against a team who's playing to win. I was looking forward to seeing, you know, I was looking forward to seeing Levis do his thing. And I got to watch Will Levis on his first pass of the game throw a beautiful deep ball to Treylon Burks, who dropped it. Guys, I am rooting for the kid just as much as any of you, but I mean, I honestly, I think there's a chance that Treylon Burks may not be on this team next year. I don't know what they would be able to get for Treylon Burks in a trade, but that was a beautiful deep ball, and Treylon Burks dropped it. Okay, I think Treylon had 2 catches for 11 yards yesterday. That's a first-round draft pick, John Robinson. Okay. But anyway, I digress. Then, you know, I think Spears had a drop as well. You know, offense is struggling because, of course, they are. And then the only reason that was worth tuning in was to watch our rookie quarterback that's going to have to be our franchise quarterback going forward. We can't protect him to save our lives. All week, we sat here and we were worried because we said, man, is it smart to put Will Levis back in there behind this offensive line? He almost got, I mean, listen, the first time he got hurt a couple of weeks ago, it almost could have been catastrophic. I mean, it almost looked like a really bad injury, and he walked away with just a mild sprain. Okay, you got away with one. Then you tempt fate again. You put him back in there behind the same terrible offensive line, and we were all skeptical. We all sat here all week and said, man, I don't know if it's smart. I get the thought process that says, hey, he needs the meaningful reps. He needs these snaps. He needs this experience in the game against a good team. He needs this. I get that, but how meaningful were the reps that he got yesterday? How can you even get... I mean, I'm not one of these people. I like Will Levis. I like, for the most part, what we've seen from Will Levis. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you the kid's perfect. He has work to do. He needs to get better and better and better. But I would at least like to give the kid a fair shot to be able to go out there and if he's going to mess up, if he's going to throw interceptions, if he's going to miss throws, then let him. But he's not even getting a chance to do that because he's just getting killed every time. And of course, before the first half could even end, he's hurt again. Because, and this wasn't even coming from the left, this was from the right. Number 61. I don't even know who that is. But that's who, oh my gosh, can't even talk. That's who was on the offensive line, and a guy ran right by him and just killed our quarterback and hurt his foot. And I just, all week, we sat here and we said, don't put him in there, he's going to get killed. But they did it anyway. They decided it was worth the risk. And now I hope it's, I mean, you know, somebody stepped on his foot. I don't envision it's going to be that bad of an injury. My gut feeling is, and I hope I'm right, it was probably more of a precautionary thing of, hey, let's just not even risk it. They should have just done that from the beginning. But I'm not going to lie. I understand the thought process that says, hey, we need him to get these snaps. We need him to get these reps. It's invaluable. I understand that. I understand that thought process. But I also understand the thought process that says this is the worst offensive line in the league and they can't protect the kid. And, I mean, he's a rookie. Of course there are going to be times where he holds on to the ball a little bit too long. Of course there are going to be times that he makes a bad read. Of course there are going to be times when he throws a bad pass. Of course there are going to be times when he makes bad rookie decisions. Of course. But give him that chance to do that. If he's going to make those rookie mistakes, at least let him do it without getting killed. And to be fair, then Tannehill gets in there and he's limping around because he's getting killed too. Did you notice that? Tannehill was walking around like he'd just been kicked in the ribs. He's doubled over. He's limping. I mean, this offensive line nearly got 2 quarterbacks killed in one day. And I'm going to defend Tannehill. I thought Tannehill played pretty well yesterday, considering. I mean, literally, Andre Dillard, the left tackle, was so bad we had to bench him and go back to Jalen Duncan. You guys know, I posted it on Twitter yesterday. You know that gif of Sting, the wrestler Sting, when he takes off the mask and it's just him again? He takes off the Sting mask to reveal that it's just Sting again. That's what I posted yesterday. That's what it's like going from Andre Dillard back to Jalen Duncan. It's like taking off the Sting mask and it's still just Sting underneath. Okay? It's the same, you're getting the same production either way. I realize that Andre Dillard don't need to be in there, but let's not act like Jalen Duncan's much better. At least Duncan's a rookie, though. At least Duncan is like a 6th round rookie who you don't expect to be that great. Andre Dillard, they actually had high expectations for him. But here's my question about this offensive line, because it's not, the left tackle position is the worst, but like we've seen Aaron Brewer get dominated in pass protection. Dylan Radins has had a tough time. Different guys that we got in there. Here's my question. Is there something going on with the coaching and development of these guys? Because how could one team, I mean, I have to laugh. How could one team assemble this many bad offensive linemen? If it's true that these guys are just not very good, how could one team be that unlucky to assemble this many bad offensive linemen on one team? Because it's not just left tackle. The whole line has been bad. I mean, even the rookie Peter Skoronski has had, some tough times these last few weeks. Okay. I realize no offensive line is going to be perfect. I understand that. We can't all be the 49ers. We can't all give our quarterback, we can't all be the Ravens. We can't all give our quarterback 12 hours to stand back there and do whatever they want. But, I mean, this is like, you. Here's my only defense of Tim Kelly, offensive coordinator. Because there are sometimes he makes play calls that just leaves me scratching my head. Such as yesterday on 3rd and inches, and we decide with no wide receivers in the game at all, we decide to just stick Derrick Henry into Wildcat in pretty much like what would be considered a goal line formation where every single person in the stadium and every person watching at home knows exactly what we're about to do, especially the Houston Texans defense. And they just stuff it for a 5-yard loss. It's like, dude, really? Like, that was a point in the game where I was like, are we trying to lose? Are we trying to tank right now? Surely, if you're trying to win, surely that's not the play call you would make. If you're trying not to get humiliated, surely, if you comprehend and understand how bad your offensive line is, surely that's not a play call that you would make, right? Well, they did it yesterday. Like, yes, there are play calls that baffle me, but my one defense of offensive coordinator Tim Kelly, and I know we're at a place where nobody wants to say anything in defense of him, and I get sometimes the criticism is valid, but I will say this. There are times when I watch this team and I watch this offense and I say, you know what? I don't even know what play you could call at this point that would work. I don't even know what play call you could make because the offensive line is so bad. You can't run it. You can't throw it. There's nothing you can do. And I will say, I feel for Tim Kelly in that regard. Sometimes I'm like, dude, I wouldn't want your job for $1 million because what are you even supposed to do? Again, sometimes the criticism toward Tim Kelly is valid, but sometimes I'm like, dude, good luck. Good luck trying to call anything that will work with this crew that we've got. And there was actually one sequence yesterday. There was one sequence yesterday where I actually thought Tim Kelly did the right thing. It was 3rd and 1, and he called actually what I considered to be a good play call. It was like a kind of a counter play to Spears where, you know, you fake it to Henry and then you hand it to Spears. I liked the play call. It was a good 3rd and 1 play call to get the first down. I liked it. But somebody on the offensive line whiffed, and it was no gain because somebody missed their block. I don't know which one. It was actually in that moment, at that moment, I liked that play call, but it just got stuffed because we couldn't block anybody. And then on 4th and 1, I remember exactly what happened. On 4th and 1, we went for it. We tried to throw it. I'm not sure what the route combination was because I haven't seen a replay. I don't know what routes everybody was running, but it doesn't matter what routes they were running because I watched Jalen Duncan as he stands there and watches, I believe, Will Anderson didn't play, did he? Whoever it was for Houston just ran their butt right around him. Tannehill this guy, Ryan Tannehill, everybody's criticized him, but in this moment, I felt bad for him. Because he literally goes, down, said, hut, takes the snap, sacked. I mean, it was that quick. On 4th and 1, he went, said, hike, and it's done. Like, whoever was running routes, Hopkins, Burks, Okonkwo, whoever was out there running routes, they could not have even been 3 steps into their route. I mean, it was like literally a millisecond and Tannehill's on the ground. And I was like, you know what? You can call whatever play you want. You can call any play, short routes, long routes, intermediate routes. It doesn't matter what you call. It will not work with that protection. And so whether it's just we have assembled the worst offensive line talent in the world or whether it's that we need a new offensive line coach or some other new coach, whatever. The offensive line it's beyond a liability. It is past the point of, I look at the secondary, for example, the Titans secondary. I can look at that and I can say, okay, that's a weak point of the team. The secondary needs to be addressed. The secondary, I can look at that and say, yeah, that's a weakness. But the offensive line is beyond weakness. The offensive line is like, it's past an emergency. It is a lost cause at this point, this group that we have. And you have to bring back Peter Skoronski because you picked him at number 11 last year at left guard. You have to bring him back. But outside of him, I don't think any of these guys are safe. Any of them, whether they're veterans, young guys, whoever. I don't care whether your name is Daniel Brunskill, Aaron Brewer, Nicholas Petit-Frere, Dylan Radins. You're not safe. Your job is not safe. If I'm Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel and whoever else, I'm going in there as soon as this season ends and I'm saying, how can we upgrade every one of these guys? Like, have you not seen enough? At this point, have you not seen enough? Right? And I'll tell you this. We're talking about Vrabel again. Everybody's talking about Vrabel. I'm telling you guys, here's why I don't talk about Vrabel more on this podcast. Because there's no point. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. Whether you like that or not. He's going to get his chance. He's going to get his chance in their minds to help mold this roster in his image. They still view this, for the most part, as John Robinson's roster. And if they're right, then great, let's fix it. But if they're wrong, there may be more dark days ahead. I don't know. I think there are some things Vrabel's very good at, but I think there are some things that he's very stubborn about. Okay? And this offense, I already said, half of their games so far this year, they only got one left, half of their games they've scored one touchdown or less. And that takes me back to last season when the offense went on a 7-game losing streak and we had the exact same issue. Couldn't score points, couldn't score touchdowns, which is the whole objective of the game. And, I mean, that, before we can even talk about defense or anything else, if you don't fix that, if you don't figure out a way to score, if you don't figure out a way to make this offense not just better, but considerably better, then there's nothing else is going to work. And let me say this. On a bright side, yesterday, Derrick Henry surpassed 1,000 yards on the season, and DeAndre Hopkins surpassed 1,000 yards on the season. Credit to those guys, because that is miraculous for those two. That should have them both in the Hall of Fame right now. The fact that they both managed to have 1,000-yard seasons on this offense, kudos. Freaking kudos to them. Seriously. That's quite an achievement. To figure out a way to get 1,000 yards on this offense for both of them. Wow. Now, let me say this, because somebody just brought up Dylan Radins. Did anybody see Dylan Radins and his post-game comments yesterday? I want to give a shout-out to Nathan Welsh in the chat. He said, love the podcast. I appreciate it, Nathan. Appreciate everybody that listens. Dylan Radins yesterday. Anybody see what he said in the locker room? He said, it's not that we're not trying. He said, it's not that we're not trying. We're trying. We are trying. We're doing everything we can. And you know what the sad part is, guys? I believe him. I think he's telling the truth. I do believe they're trying. Last week, Aziz Al-Shair, after the Seattle game, he said the exact same thing. It's not that we're not trying. It's not that we're not giving it everything we've got. That's 2 weeks in a row somebody on the team has said that. 1 week on the starting defense, and then this week starting offense. And I believe them. I think they're telling the truth. I believe they are trying. I believe they are giving it all they've got. I've never questioned the effort or the heart of the team. Here's the problem, though. And this is the hard truth. This is the uncomfortable truth. This is the part that is tough to swallow. Even though you're trying as hard as you can, even though you're putting in the work and you're putting in the effort, when you just don't, it sounds horrible, guys, when you just don't have the skill, this may not be a popular thing to say. People say talent only takes you so far, and that's true. But sometimes I feel like effort only takes you so far, and that sucks. That you won't hear that anywhere, but I feel like sometimes effort only takes you so far. If you don't have the skill, I mean, especially when it comes to the game of football, hard work's great. And we've seen a number of guys who have worked their way into a spot on a roster just because they worked their butts off to get better. That's awesome. Sometimes, though, and it happens all the time, you just don't hear about it, there are guys who work their butts off, but they never see the field because they're not as good as the other guys. The Titans often are starting a bunch of guys that would not start anywhere else. I told you this, I gave you this stat earlier this season. No team in the NFL has played more undrafted guys than the Titans, and it's not close. No team has started more undrafted guys than the Titans. No other team. The Titans are in the lead. We're playing a bunch of guys that we got on Goodwill, that we got from the thrift store. And God bless them. I know they're working hard. I know they're giving it all they've got, and I respect them for that, and I appreciate them. But as Soul Snatcher said in the chat, the truth sucks, but the truth is the truth. Not subjective. The truth is truth. And even when it hurts, you got to take it for what it is. The Titans have a bunch of hard workers. Yeah, but guess what? So do the other 31 teams. This is the NFL. Everybody's a hard worker. Everybody's giving it everything they've got. You see it every week. Teams like the Patriots, the Commanders, the Cardinals, teams like the Titans who are long since out of it. They're not going to the playoffs, but they're still out there busting their butt. We're not talking about hard work here. We're not talking about whether guys are working hard. Of course they're working hard, and of course we appreciate them doing that. But at some point, you've got to get guys with some real talent in here. And I know that Vrabel loves taking the guy off the practice squad who's working his tail off and has earned the right to compete for a spot on the. I know Vrabel loves taking the guy at the bottom and trying to bring him to the top. And sometimes that's cool. That's a great story. But when that's how you're trying to form a team, when you're trying to form a team full of guys who were at the bottom that you brought up to the top. I mean, here's a classic example. Nick Westbrook-Akine. That's a good example of a guy. And I know he's on IR. We haven't seen him in a couple of weeks. But that's a guy who is a Vrabel guy all the way. That's a guy that Vrabel got behind when he was on the practice squad, who, when AJ was gone and Julio was gone, Vrabel looked at and said, That's the guy we're going to put in a position to be our wide receiver of the future because he works hard and he puts in the hours. Hey, great. That's great that he does that. That's great that he's a good special teams player that runs hard and does all that. That's great. But if you actually want to win, then you need to be going out and getting the guys the guys who are the best catchers, the guys who are the best quarterbacks, the guys who are the best running backs. I don't know why I said catchers instead of wide receivers. This isn't baseball. The guys who are the best defenders, the guys who are the best tacklers, not just the guys who went undrafted and ended up on a practice squad that you saw something in them you liked, and so you started. Listen, I don't have anything against that, but sometimes you just gotta go with T. Higgins when they're available. Sometimes you just gotta go out there and get, excuse me. Sometimes you just gotta go out there and get the guy on free agency that you know is the best. Not the guy who's coachable, not just the guy who's going to put in the work, but the guy who just has the God-given ability to do it. Some of you don't know this, but I am a singer and songwriter as well as doing this. I write songs and I sing. The song that's in the opening and closing of this podcast, that's me. It's a song I wrote, and that's me singing. The song's called Feel Free. It's available everywhere. And sometimes when you hear a singer who just can get up there and sing their face off, you hear a singer who gets up there, depending on what style of music you like, I don't know, somebody like a Whitney Houston or a Bruno Mars gets up there and they sing, and you listen to them and you say, you know what? That person right there, that's just God-given ability. That's just God-given ability right there. That's somebody who God just, when he created them, God said, you can sing, and sent them out into the world. And that's why they're here. They are here to sing and bless our souls with their voice. And you know it when you hear them. They didn't have to take a voice lesson. They didn't have to go to classes to learn how to hit the right notes. They just came out of the womb singing. Okay? Now let's relate that to this game of football. There are some guys, okay, that you just look at and you say, you know what? Patrick Mahomes, that guy just gets it. He just gets it. He may whine a little bit. He may be a little bit of a diva, but you know what? Dadgummit, that guy understands this game, and he knows how to do it. Brady was one of those guys. It was just in his blood. He was the best. Justin Jefferson. I watch guys like that in Minnesota, and I'm like, that guy right there, he's got it. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, in wrestling, he told a guy this. He said, you got it, baby. You got it, and couldn't nobody take it away from you if they wanted it. He said that about Roman Reigns, if you watch wrestling. But some guys in the NFL, they're like that. They got it. They got it, and you couldn't take it from them if you wanted to. The Titans need some of those guys. We've got enough of the guys who ended up undrafted on a practice squad that we had to elevate and just watch them work hard so that they could get in the game and fly around and whatever. Like, we've got enough of those guys. We need some of the Mahomes. We need some of the Justin Jeffersons. We need some of the George Kittles and some Jeffrey Simmons is one of those guys, by the way. Jeffrey Simmons is one of those guys. When I watch him, I know he hadn't played in a while. When I watch Jeffrey Simmons, I say, you know what, that guy, that is a football player. That's a football player. That's just that guy. D-Hop, one of those guys. D-Hop's a great example. When you watch him, that's just a guy, he probably came into this world catching footballs. And what motivates me about Will Levis is when I look at Will Levis, I see one of those guys. When I look at Will Levis, I see one of those guys, man, who just, he just gets this game. He gets it, and I hope I'm right. But it's not that I have anything against these Vrabel projects that he's brought in and watched work and helped coach through the practice squad, undrafted, whatever. I mean, when those stories work out, they're great. But sometimes you just got to go out and get those guys. You got to go out and get those guys that are just like, man, they're the best. They're the best. You want to talk about A.J. Brown? Yeah, we can talk about A.J. Brown. Somebody mentioned A.J. and that A.J. was one of those guys. Hey, listen, A.J. is proving himself in Philadelphia. Yeah, he's pretty difficult. He's got a lot to say. He's opinionated. He's, might be a little bit divisive. You want to know who else was? Terrell Owens. All-time great. But you know what? As upset as I still am at AJ for some of the things he said, you know what? Watch him on the field sometimes. He might complain when he gets to the sideline, but dang it, when he's out there, would any of you be upset if he came back? No. If he came out today and said, I want to go back to Nashville, I demand a trade back to the Titans, we'd throw a freaking party. Because we knew he was one of those guys. We need more of those guys. We're not going to get better until we have more of the guys who are just flat out dogs than the guys who just are hard workers. I don't have anything against, I can't say it enough, I don't have anything against the hard workers, but we need more of those guys who just, it's in their blood. They're just the best. And you're willing to put up with the locker room antics. You're willing. I mean, people getting mad because DeAndre Hopkins was getting a haircut the other day while he was talking to the media. Dude, I love it. I love it. Give me more of that. Give me more guys like that who just, you know what? You want to know why? Because DeAndre Hopkins can do whatever he wants. Because when he comes out on the field, he's going to catch everything within a certain radius of him. You do whatever you want off the field. Don't kill anybody. Don't hurt nobody. But you do whatever you want. Don't do nothing illegal. Don't do nothing horrible. But you say whatever you want in press conferences as long as you're making it happen on the field. Do whatever. And sometimes I feel like we don't want those guys because we would rather have the blue collar, guy who came from the practice squad and what. No, this offseason, I'm sick of having to elevate those guys. I want more Big Jeffs. I want more Henrys. I want more Hopkins. Danico Autry. Okay, I want more of those guys. Taylor Lewan. Remember him? That was a football guy. He just was put on this earth to block. Give me more of those. Ben Jones, you remember him? Just who? Nobody else you'd want in there other than him. Man, that's what. Even when I know they're gonna lose and they need to lose because of the draft position, it still drives me nuts because I'm watching and I'm like, man, I want to feel like this stuff's going to get better. And listen, there's nothing you can do to help a bad team more than getting better players. Listen, I feel like currently in the NFL, and some of you may disagree, there are some coaches in this league who are mediocre to bad who are getting bailed out because they got so much talent on the team. And I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to say who I have in mind, but there are coaches in this league right now who are going to be in the playoffs this season. There are coaches who may have even been in Super Bowls in years past and could be in one this year, who I don't even think are as good of coaches as we have thought they were. but they just have so much talent on the team that it bails them out. There's nothing more important for this Titans team than to get talent on the field. Talent, talent, talent. Goodness gracious. I didn't come on here to preach today, but just it's like for weeks I've tried to think through how to word this. And that's the best way I can think to. Enough with just fielding a bunch of guys who went undrafted that we had to bring from the scraps. No. Give me the guy, the Bengals, you want to know when things took off for them? When they went out and got Jamar Chase. You want to know why they went out and got Jamar Chase? Because he was one of the best players in the draft. Don't overthink it. I wish we could get Marvin Harrison, but I don't think we're going to be able to. I don't think we're going to be that high in the draft. Let's talk about some other things. Just when I thought I couldn't get any madder, let's talk about the Cowboys and the Lions. You guys, I'm telling you right now, these referees, I have ranted about this on this podcast till I'm two-tone blue in the face. These referees are not held accountable. They are not disciplined in any way. They are not. They're nothing. No fines, no suspensions, nothing. Everybody else in this league is held to an impossibly high standard. The players, the coaches, everybody. Even the cheerleaders. But the referees can go out there and make game-changing, awful, ridiculous, pathetic, nonsense calls that not only impact that game, but impact the playoffs. Because Detroit they could be contending for the number 1 seed in the NFC. Home field throughout the entire playoffs. But instead, they're locked into the 3 seed. All because a referee can't tell who's eligible and who's not, even though the near 7-foot guy just walked up to you and told you he was eligible. You still don't understand that he's eligible. In any other line of work, you would be fired for such incompetence. If you were a surgeon and operated on the wrong organ, you would be fired. If you were a mechanic and you used the wrong tool, if you were a cashier and gave somebody the wrong amount of change, if the list goes on and on. In any other line of work, you would be, at the very least, heavily disciplined. But these guys robbed the Detroit Lions blatantly, obviously, clearly, and the commissioner is not going to say one word. And if he does, he's going to do what he did last year, which is say, I don't think the officiating has ever been better. That's what he said last year. And Jared Goff, I saw Trey Wingo, used to host NFL Live. He went on Twitter. He said, man, Jared Goff was very classy in his post-game press conference. And I'm sorry. I said, dude, I'm sick of class. I'm sick of being classy about these refs. I want somebody. Now, I know weeks ago, Mahomes tried to get all up in arms about the ref, but he was actually getting mad about the correct call that was made. I need somebody who's willing to just get suspended. I need somebody who's willing to come out there and be like, listen, I want the players to get together and be like, we ain't going to play until this gets fixed. I mean, this is like some of this stuff they do. You remember that season they had the replacement refs because the the real refs were on strike or something, and it was just every week it was something horrible. Okay, well, I feel like we got the replacement refs again. I feel like we got the replacement refs again. Except it's not replacement refs, it's the real refs. And you just wait. It's going to cost somebody a playoff game. I mean, they're going to pull something like this in a playoff game, and one of them's going to get punched. I'm trying to. Who would be the player who would just rear back and punch a referee? Let's think here. If it is Ndamukong Suh still in the league? Ndamukong Suh would punch a referee. Okay. Let me think here. Let me think. Oh, yo. I know this is a long time ago, but Albert Hainsworth wouldn't just punch the referee. Albert Hainsworth would give them the Randy Orton punt to the skull with his cleat on. Okay. Now I don't condone that. But yes, West V Mountains in the chat, correct. DK Metcalf 100% would punch a referee. I feel like Jeffrey Simmons, if there's anybody on the Titans who would get heated and punch a referee, I feel like it'd be Jeffrey Simmons. But one of these days in a playoff game, and I'm not condoning or calling for violence, I'm just telling you what's going to happen. One of these referees is going to make a call like this, and a player is going to wind up punching one of these referees in the face. It's going to happen. In any event, the Cowboys, quote unquote, beat the Lions. Travis Kelce might do it. Travis Kelce, he's got a little temper. Throwing his helmet on the sideline. Travis Kelce might punch a ref and then sing to him, "Referee, now we got bad blood." All right. Hey, listen, the Ravens, if they don't, tell me this. Who is going to stop the Ravens from winning the Super Bowl? I mean, who? These guys look like they are playing the Madden video game on rookie mode, on easy mode. These guys, to me, the Ravens, if they don't win a Super Bowl this year, it will go down in history as one of the biggest missed opportunities for a team. Because look at their resume. Look at their resume, guys. These Ravens, the Lions, who are going to the playoffs. The Ravens played them earlier this year and beat them 38-6. The Seahawks, who very well could be going to the playoffs, the Ravens beat them 37-3. Not to mention beating the Rams, who are a playoff team. Not to mention slaughtering the 49ers last week on Christmas Day, who are the other number one seed. And then yesterday, the Dolphins. The Dolphins, who, in many people's mind, were the biggest threat to Baltimore in the AFC. They beat them. They put up 56 to 19. So when I look at the Ravens, and I know we got B Ravens 1 in the chat. When I look at the Ravens, I ask myself, what could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong for the Ravens? You know, in a sitcom, when people would say that, what could possibly go wrong? Something would immediately go wrong. And I'm trying to think, what would prevent the Ravens from just marching to the Super Bowl? Well, maybe nothing. But as someone in the chat has already said, wouldn't it be something if, because the only team, to my knowledge, that's going to be in these playoffs who has beaten the Ravens is the Cleveland, I can't even say it, the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Browns, I think, still had Watson at that time playing quarterback. But wouldn't it be just unbelievable if the Joe Flacco led Browns? Remember where Flacco was drafted to? Baltimore. Flacco won a Super Bowl in Baltimore. Now he's in Cleveland. Can you imagine if Cleveland was the team? I don't know. I honestly, I don't know who's stopping the Ravens. I mean, they have just they have just dominated everybody. Bills beat the Patriots in a game that was closer than I thought it would be, 27-21. Bills are in a win and in situation. I told you this would happen. The Bills won, the Dolphins lost, so now Bills Dolphins on Sunday night will be for the AFC East. There is still a chance the Bills could miss the playoffs. I think it's if the Steelers and the Jaguars win and the Bills lose, the Bills could be eliminated. The Bills could get as high as the 2 seed, or they could not make the playoffs at all. Woo! High stakes. The Dolphins are coming into that game very banged up, but we'll make picks about that on Friday. But the Bills beat the Patriots 27-21. Bears, man, the Bears have really come on strong at the end of the year. They're obviously not going to make the playoffs. But, man, I wonder what's going to happen this offseason with the Bears. They officially have the number 1 pick in the draft. As soon as this season ends, they are on the clock via Carolina. And I just wonder what they're going to do, because Justin Fields has been playing pretty well. And the Bears have looked much better here late in the season. So I wonder what the Bears are going to do. Could they, I mean, I guess theoretically, yeah, they could still trade Justin Fields and draft a new quarterback. Man, with Fields playing better, ugh. But they could still do that. They could theoretically trade back and allow someone else to get up there, or they could just take Marvin Harrison. And that's what I feel like they're going to do at this point. I feel like the Bears are just going to take Marvin Harrison, DJ Moore on one side, Marvin Harrison on the other, Justin Fields, take it away. But the Bears whooped the Falcons 37-17 in the snow yesterday. The Colts, hey, I'll give it to the Colts. I thought they were going to lose this game, but they beat the Raiders 23-20. Colts, so Indianapolis and Houston are playing each other Saturday night in what is pretty much a playoff game. Whoever loses is out, and whoever wins is in. It is a win and in game for both of them. And Indianapolis beats Vegas. I'll give it to Indianapolis. Every time you want to count them out, they come back and win. I mean, Indianapolis, they got beat by Atlanta last week, and everybody was kind of ready to jump ship. Say, okay, they're bad. Then they come back this week. The Raiders coming off of a win over the Chiefs. Everybody thought, a lot of people thought, including myself, thought the Raiders would win. But, you know, the Colts got it done. Jags finally get a win. They beat the Panthers 26-0. Panthers, man, you see their GM dumping beer on Jags fans in the like the GM, or is it the owner, whoever? What, I mean, Carolina, they got some, man, there's some house cleaning needs to be done around there. Bryce Young clearly frustrated. Yeah, it was the owner. Oh, well, if it's the owner, I don't know what you would do about that. I mean, dang. That's just unbelievable. Panthers lose 26-0, and now the Jags, if they beat the Titans on Sunday, they will win the AFC South. There's still a chance. I mean, the Jaguars still, even if they were to lose to Tennessee, they could still get into the playoffs as a wild card, or they could miss the playoffs still. But my gut feeling is they'll beat Tennessee and win the AFC South. I don't know what status is on Trevor Lawrence, if he'll be back. I don't know. Rams over the Giants 26-25, man. I was rooting for the Giants so hard here because I wanted the Titans to jump them in the draft. But Mason Crosby misses the field goal at the end. And also, not just on Crosby, but they went for 2, and Saquon Barkley was just wide open out there, and Tyrod Taylor missed him. And so the Rams win, and the Rams clinch a playoff spot yesterday. The Rams with this win and Seattle losing, the Rams are officially in the playoffs. What a job by Sean McVay. I mean, what a job by him to get this team from where they were to being in the playoffs. That's amazing. And this is my weekly reminder that you better not sleep on the Rams in the NFC. Just won the Super Bowl 2 years ago with the same coach, same quarterback. Cooper Kupp's still here. Especially with the inconsistencies that we're seeing from the other teams in the NFC, don't go to sleep on the Rams. The Cardinals beat the Eagles. Oh my. The Eagles, it was all right there in front of them. All you got to do, beat the Cardinals and the Giants, and you win your division and are probably at least the 2 seed in the NFC. And they couldn't do it. Here's the thing, guys. I knew it. I sensed it when I saw last season the personality that Nick Sirianni has. You know, that attitude, kind of arrogant, one of the boys kind of things. That's all fine and good. But when things start going south, I mean, it just, the true colors eventually start to show. And I think you're starting to see that right now. I think by the looks of it, there are locker room issues. I think Sirianni has lost the locker room to a degree at this point. And it gets to a point where just the shenanigans on the sideline and talking smack and all that. I mean, buddy, this ain't Last Chance U on Netflix. This is the NFL. And this was a disaster for the Eagles. They were up like 24-6 at one point in this game. Or 21-6. Like, they were running away with this. So it's not just that they lost to Arizona, it's that they let Arizona. This was a home game, by the way. At home, the Eagles let the Cardinals come back and beat them. And I'm telling you this about AJ. I know we talked about AJ a little bit ago, and AJ's a great player, and I miss him. I do. But now you've got reporters in Philadelphia writing articles about AJ and what a problem he is in the locker room. 2 weeks in a row now, AJ has refused to talk to the media after the game. I don't know, man. I don't know. But it's like the old song says, I see your true colors shining through. Saints beat the Bucs 23-13. I didn't see this coming. I thought the Bucs were rolling, but the Bucs, this is a back to reality moment. At home, they got this score is not even indicative of how lopsided this was. I mean, the Saints dominated this game, but even then, the Bucs are in a win and in situation on Sunday. If the Bucs win their game, they win the division and they'll be the 4th seed in the NFC. And oh, by the way, they're playing the Panthers. Come on, Tampa. 49ers beat the Commanders 27-10. Good opportunity for the Niners to get back on track. They locked down the 1 seed in the NFC. Steelers over the Seahawks 30-23. Steelers keeping their playoff hopes very much alive. And I thought Seattle would win this game. So good win for Pittsburgh. I'm telling you guys, I cannot believe there were people calling for Mike Tomlin to be fired. He's a great coach. Chiefs finally got things going. They beat the Bengals 25-17. They clinched their division. Still just so many dropped passes by the Chiefs. It's unbelievable. But, you know, what are you going to do? The Chiefs are in. We knew they'd be in. Now we'll see what they do in the playoffs. Broncos over the Chargers 16-9. Was rooting for the Chargers to win this, and once again, so the Titans could move up in the draft, but the Chargers failed us. They look bad. The Broncos had Jarrett Stidham. Neither one of these teams are in the playoffs. Just is what it is. And then last night, the Packers beat the Vikings 33-10. Vikings officially eliminated from playoff contention, and the Green Bay Packers are in a win-and-in situation. They are in a win-and-in situation. The Packers can get in the playoffs. Now, I don't know if the Packers are going to win because they're playing Chicago, and Chicago's playing some good ball right now. But the Packers are in a win-and-in, and we'll see. But I'll make picks for all of that stuff on Friday. Got to get down on Friday. Thank you guys for joining me on the Two Tone Talk podcast, where we're staying way too high on the wins, way too low on the losses. You guys be sure to let me know in the comments. We're working on some merch for the pod, the By God pod, and let me know if you guys would be interested in that. As for me right now, I'm going to go get ready to watch some college football playoff today, here in a few hours. I got Alabama over Michigan. I got Texas over Washington. And then Alabama versus Texas in the national championship next week. That's my guess for those games. But I'm going to go get ready for that. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you have a great 2024. Two Tone Talk podcast. Staying way too high on the wins, way too low on the losses. Tighten up, everybody. Bye.
Feels like the world is picking on ya. Feels like it's picking on me. But trying to please everybody, that ain't no way to be.